Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be across the nation or around the world. Once again, you are listening to the VMware Communities Roundtable Podcast. This is podcast number 747. My name is Eric Nilsson, and with me 25. Bob, how you doing?
You're locking up a little bit, but I'm doing great, and it's great to be here. We've got some great guests on today, and the weather is sunny in the Midwest, at least where I am in the Midwest. And yeah, last gasps of fall here before it gets frigid again. Northern lights have been going. If it's supposed to happen again tonight, so find a dark spot, look up in the sky. But yeah, I don't know. Probably by the time people hear this, that won't be relevant. But I don't know.
Yeah, it's we have a big storm coming in. Good and gonna start raining tomorrow and rain for like 5 days. So we'll get a storm, and you'll get to experience that in a few days, I'm sure, right? Give or take. But rain nonetheless, not super cold. So we'll see how it goes coming into the holiday season, of course. So NetApp folks, and bring hear what's new with storage. So we'll talk about storage and a little bit of security and ransomware. So on the show we'll do that. Shout out to all the people in Germany that had their VMUG going on. So VMUG and Explore on Tour was happening in Germany this week. A lot of excitement there, and we did have the virtual event for VMUG last week. I think we had over 2,500 people show up to the virtual event, so record number of people showed up to the virtual event. I did this VMUG Advantage, how to get your bits for VCF 9 session. Had over 100 people at that session. And Bob, I got my ratings back, and I came in at number 4 of
nice. Congratulations.
20. Yeah, so thanks for whoever lied on the ratings.
It just shows some enthusiasm, and being engaged and all that stuff. You're reading your slides, you're talking, you're authentic. That's what people like. And so, yeah, not surprising that you would get a score like that. But congratulations.
I've never got to see my ratings, so I felt good. William Lamb's ratings were higher than me by a point or two, so I can't beat him.
Well, his audience is very enthusiastic, but it was his very specific things. So yeah, that's understandable.
Yeah, true, so true. But it was a great virtual event. So VMUG's rocking on, and happy about that. Corey is still working on vExperts, getting ready for nominations to open up. Did a blog article on what it takes to be a vExpert, and so excited about that. And get ready to take your VCP certification, because my take is not this application, but sometime in 2026, I can see a VCP
being a prerequisite
over time. I don't think we're going to make that a hard requirement for this app season, but I can see that coming. So me and Corey have had some conversations about that, and I think that's all that I got in the news. We're just coming up to the end of the year now, and for Broadcom, it's a new year, but for the rest of us, it's coming up to the end of the year. So good news there. I think Explore on Tour is now done. I think Germany was the last one for the year, so that one's done. But they're getting ready for next year, and they're excited. And then we announced VMUG Connects coming up next year. Going to be, I think, 5 of those. First one's in the Netherlands in March. So if you're in Europe, get ready for that. 2-day event plus an unconference the first day. So technically almost 3 days happening next year for Connects. And the Explore on Tour people will tell us that the 2-day format is very, very popular, right? They've been well received, overbooked. So on topics for the first day, kind of birds of a feather, where everybody gets in a room and talks openly about the tech, and kind of free-flowing, moderated conversations on that first day. So technically almost 3 days. And then the prices are pretty reasonable, $400 for the 3-day event, plus a party, usually an activity. So I'm actually really excited about Connect next year. I don't know about you, Bob.
Yeah, St. Louis was nice, and having a smaller conference, have it technical, but still have it large enough that it's got some gravity to it. You actually get people there, and it's worth going. I think that'll be cool. I like the destinations. I mean, I grew up in the Minneapolis, St. Paul area, so going back up there, having an excuse to go back up there to in April 7th through the 9th in Minneapolis. We've got Toronto, Dallas, Orlando, Amsterdam in March. So that'll be exciting stuff. So good lineup.
Yeah, I like the Orlando one personally because I always like to get to warm, sunny place where they've got theme parks. Is always a fun place to end up and stay an extra day or two, enjoying that routine. So
cool.
Tech, a lot of good learning, a lot of good certification, stuff coming up. So vSphere 9 certs are out. You can take those tests if you feel like it. You're not required to, up your cert. Your cert's good for 3 years for VCP certification. If you got your cert, you're good to go. But if you want to, you can take a 9 cert. The 9 cert tests are out now as well. So yeah.
Yeah, worth a shot. Do you know if it's going to be included like it was for St. Louis, the St. Louis Connect?
Yeah, I think we're planning certs will be covered in the conference fee. Yep.
Very nice. So that makes it easy.
Well, let's get on with our guests. We're talking to NetApp. We've got Chance Bingham and Mike Foley, and I think it's Biggin. I don't know how to say your last name, Chance, but I'm sure we'll get to you guys. So let's do what we traditionally do on the community podcast, because we are a community podcast. We like to hear from our guests on. Obviously, I think on NetApp, but tell us a little bit about the elevator pitch of what you do together, and how did you get here? You get a minute or two to tell us a little about yourself. We'll talk to Chance first. Chance, welcome to the show.
All right. Hey, so I've been with NetApp for about 20 years. I'm the principal technical marketing engineer for virtualization products and features with our primary operating system, ONTAP. So before that, I was a consultant. I did a lot of Microsoft Exchange and Active Directory stuff, back in those days. So what I would say, our history with VMware is really interesting. It goes all the way back to, I think our partnership began around 2002. So that is 23 years old now. Like, our partnership can buy its own liquor. It doesn't need like a fake ID anymore. And I've been doing VMware stuff most of that time. We really kind of rode that wave of virtualization, server virtualization in the mid 2000s that really took off. And it's been just gangbusters ever since.
Yeah, longtime supporter of the vExpert program. I know you guys have sponsored stuff along the way, whether it was the Nook giveaways or Raspberry Pis or other things that you've done. You always showed up at Explorer or VMworld in the days and helped the community. So always a big participant on community investment. I remember the first time we made, way back when, this is before you, Bob, we had a little virtual conference at vmworld.com. We had a little virtual conference. You could drive a little avatar around little booths, and NetApp sponsored one of the little booths at the time. They gave us some dollars to help build that virtual environment. And I remember that was like 2007, right? That NetApp was funding community activities. So great, nice. Great to have such a long-term relationship with you guys. Mike, we'll pass off to you. Mike Foley, why don't you give us a little bit of your history?
You broke up there for a moment, but I've a lot of people already probably know my name. I was at VMware for about 11 and a half years. I'm now at NetApp. I'm the technical marketing engineer for ONTAP security. ONTAP is the OS that runs on our big, large disk arrays and our small ones. And I'm focused on the security of that, along with the ransomware protection component of that. And prior to NetApp, like I said, I was at VMware. I was the I was the Bob Plankers.
You were me. Yes. I
Yeah.
am. The number of people that compare me to Mike Foley nowadays has dropped off considerably.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. I'm no longer on the top 10.
So,
And
no, yeah, you're the reason I'm here. So I appreciate
Yep.
that. I continue to appreciate it.
And yeah, I was also the last couple of years the PM for vSphere, DRS, and HA.
Excellent. Both excellent resilience tools. Yes.
That was fun.
All right. So Bob, I think we were going to talk a little bit about first the kind of like the relationship of storage, right? When it comes to VMware, and do a little bit of history of that, right? Like NetApp has, obviously vSphere when it first came out didn't have any storage. I remember EMC, the reason EMC bought VMware was because EMC was the largest storage vendor, and obviously virtualization VMs have to be stored on storage, and therefore storage was an integral part of making it a success, right? And I think NetApp started, as I remember, started in the storage appliance business, or at least from my perspective. I don't know the history that well, but maybe we can talk a little bit about the relationship between virtualization, storage, and NetApp, and how what they were offering as that key partnership.
Yeah, I mean, so NetApp started off about in 1992, so 33 years ago now, I think. We basically invented NAS, right? It was kind of our thing, and snapshots and all that kind of stuff. And back in the early 2000s, it became obvious pretty quickly that you needed shared storage to really maximize what you can do with ESX at the time, right before ESXi. And be able to take advantage of all the great things that you can do with virtualization, like DRS, vMotion, all that kind of stuff. And so, we worked with VMware and rolled out fiber channel support for VMFS, iSCSI. Then NFS came later, I think just a couple years after that, I think. And, we started doing a lot of things with cloning. We came out with some rapid cloning utilities that would quickly spin up dozens, hundreds, however many VMs using our cloning technology. The array native snapshots allowing you direct access to snapshot data either through the client or through integration tools that we had back in the late 2000s, I guess it was. We came out with a vCenter plugin that allowed you to very easily take advantage of everything that the array had to offer, and that kind of evolved into its own product set and product portfolio. And so now we have all that stuff you can consume as a service in the cloud, integrating in vCenter, either on-prem or in the cloud for that matter, right through all of our great hyperscaler partners. And I'll ask Mike to chime in a second here on virtualization security, because that's really a hot topic right now with the current state of things, right? And I'd also say we talk about ONTAP as not being just storage array. It's a complete data management platform, so we can kind of give you your data anywhere you want, in any format you want, in any protocol you want. It's kind of the way we look at it. And it's all the same operating system, whether it's on an all-flash array, a spinning disk array, virtualized as a VMware virtual machine, or in the cloud as a cloud instance. It's the same everywhere. And that allows you to, use common methodologies and procedures to manage your environment regardless of where it is, and replicate data to and from for cloud bursting into a hyperscaler using common data sets. So it's really incredibly powerful. And then with the tools we have in the cloud to manage your entire VMware environment, really ties it all together. But with that, we've done a lot of things over the last couple years, iterating on our security posture, right, within the operating system itself, as well as our cloud-based services. So I'll turn it over to Mike to really talk more about that.
About the virtualization security aspects?
Yeah.
So, I mean, we can do certainly both file, NFS, and block. One of the things we have today is our autonomous ransomware protection, where we can detect ransomware not only at the file level, but at the block level. And the way it works on file is I could have a couple of VMDKs on an NFS share. We will treat those VMDKs, and we support, not just VMware, but a whole bunch of different others. We will treat them as essentially block devices, and we will be able to scan those for ransomware and be able to say, VM123.vmdk contains ransomware. Obviously, we can't do the further level of inception and go into the VM's file system because it could be any number of different file systems. Plus, that would add all sorts of fun getting at things. But we can say that on an NFS share that VMDK file contains ransomware, and then you would go further within the VM and go scan it for additional ransomware. And at the block level, we treat the block and whatever LUNs are created on that block level, and we can say on that volume ransomware is there. We can't pinpoint it to what virtual machine file because we can't read VMFS.
Yeah, but still knowing that it's there, knowing something is amiss, you see these breaches that are years long, some of the recent news where it was uncovered that the initial access was 2.5 years ago, being able to know about it. And people forget too that it's not just ransomware, it's malware in general. I assume that you're looking for malware and not.
We're at the file level. We're looking for data entropy change.
Okay.
Right.
Like rate of change sort of thing, or.
Not necessarily the rate, because you could be dumping a ton of files. We're scanning every single block. Right. Oh, okay. So we're at the block level. We're looking for entropy changes. Right. Mm-hmm. And at the file level, we also look for file characteristics like file headers. File headers get modified by ransomware.
Yeah.
Other sorts of signatures that we do that. And we have an AI model that is built into ONTAP that does all of this scanning. And we used to say, okay, turn on ARP, we call it autonomous ransomware protection. Turn on ARP, and it will scan your data over, 2 or 3 months and learn your data. Well, that tends to get you false positives and all sorts of other fun stuff. Mm-hmm. So instead, within our lab, we'll take a system, put a bunch of clean files on it, and then we'll take all these ransomware scripts and detonate those scripts against the files.
That sounds like fun.
Within this sandbox environment. And out of that, we get all these corrupted files and all these metadata signatures and file headers.
Nice.
We feed that to the AI model. We feed that to the model to train it. Then we also take known repositories, which they are out there, of files that have been compromised by ransomware. And then we also take in any false positives that are reported by customers, and they say, yeah, go ahead and use that to train. All of those things train the model so that the model can very, very quickly, with very little overhead, scan these blocks and go, yeah, I think that. Yeah. The nice part about it, not just being informed that it found something, is when it discovers something that it believes is ransomware, it will automatically take a snapshot.
Excellent.
In addition to that, every 4 hours, ARP is taking a regular snapshot. So say I have, I've taken the snapshot at 2:01 because I discovered ransomware at 2:01. There's already a snapshot taken overlapping every 4 hours that might contain the before the ransomware happened. We mark that snapshot as, oh, that's important too. and we'll hold those snapshots for like 10 days.
Nice. Yeah, that's important because you don't really know where it started, or by the time if you're seeing the signatures of ransomware being detonated, that's almost too late, and so being able to go back and say, hey, let's hold this or whatever, that's really important. So are these models running on the array locally then?
Yes.
Okay. Like you've like GPUs in the arrays, or is all CPU based?
No, we train the model offsite, right? And then the model runs in the array. And really, it only takes like it's single digit percentage.
Okay.
Overhead.
It's doing it offline against that other snapshot.
No, it's doing it real time.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Yeah. So as I save a file to a file share, or something gets written to a VMDK, those blocks are scanned in real time.
Oh, wow.
Right.
CPU, so much CPU nowadays. So.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's
well, it's a highly optimized model.
Well, yeah, and the small models too, where you know exactly what you're looking for. You don't have to have these. It's not an LLM. People think of these trillions and billions of parameters models. Like you don't need that.
Yeah, and from a security standpoint, what's really nice about this is we don't open the files. Right. So if your Word doc of next month's sales projections gets compromised, we can say, hey, there's ransomware on that, but we don't open that Word doc.
Cool.
Because we can detect data entropy without opening the file.
Yeah, you can hold it at arm's length and examine it, sort of
right.
thing.
Right. So from a security standpoint, it's good to be able to turn that on without fear of data exfiltration happening.
Yeah, you don't become a vector for that. You don't, there's not compliance issues. You don't have to explain yourself to auditors and all of that. Well, you probably still do in some regards.
Yeah, and like you and I have talked over the years, Bob, the closer you can put security controls to the data, the better off you are. If you have to go out and back, what happens if that connection stops?
Yeah, well, and even just think about the latency involved in that, for applications and that. Now, now you've got you can't do that, like you want this to be as fast as possible all the time, always on.
Right.
It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. And then, one of the other things, we say that our disk arrays are the most secure storage on the planet. We have like FIPS 140-3 level security for our certainly for our self-encrypting drives, for some of our self-encrypting drives, and also for the software encryption as well.
Cool. And so that's an option too. Like I could do an array full of self-encrypting drives, and
you can mix and match.
Oh, nice.
I could do self-encrypting drives with software encryption on top of them. Oh. And now I have two levels of encryption that don't have the same source, right?
True.
In same code base. And that meets the common off-the-shelf requirements for security by folks like the NSA.
Nice. Yeah, I hadn't thought about that, but so in the VMware space, self-encrypting drives are becoming popular again for boot drives and things that aren't encrypted, things that we can't encrypt because of dependency loops and whatnot. But in where you're positioned, and and all of the stuff you can do all the stuff. All the stuff it doesn't matter what protocols either, right? You can do fiber channel, NFS, iSCSI, all the stuff works the same basically.
Right.
Oh, that's nice.
Right.
Yeah, less mental friction is nice. Just having a solution and having it work just across the board. So.
Yeah, and there's like to go back to your first response to this is, it's really nice to know that something weird might be going on when it happens, as opposed to, oh, we scanned it last night and we found something. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for letting me know. I'm right now in the middle of it all exploding.
Yeah, it's all down because I've just been ransomed. Thanks a lot.
Right.
Very helpful.
Right. And those snapshots are what we call tamper-proof snapshots as well. When it has discovered an event, it sees a level of entropy that it feels as a triggering event, and it takes that real-time snapshot. We lock that snapshot for a period of time, so that if you have an intruder inside your network who knows storage, he or she may want to go onto the array and delete all the snapshots. They can't delete that.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, and I'm assuming it's copy on write sort of things too. So it's space efficient. You're not consuming, you're only writing change blocks from there on out, I'm assuming. So
yeah, I mean, if let's just say someone saves a file that contains ransomware to their file share, and we detect that and we take a snapshot. If the file was 1 megabyte, your snapshot's 1 megabyte.
1 megabyte, yeah.
Right.
Or zero, really.
Or zero.
So me coming along and repeatedly saving malware samples or whatever to DOS my array, it's not going to work. So
yeah.
Right. Yeah. Our snapshots are really, if I were to put it in more industry standard terms, it's essentially similar to redirect on write, more so than copy on write. But
that makes
probably
sense.
none of the audience cares. But that would be a more closer association with the way we manage the blocks.
Cool. No, that sounds good. Yeah, no, this is interesting because, one of my first arrays, we need to take this basically. I need a time machine. I'm going to take this and go give it to me basically 15 years ago, where I had my NetApp arrays and doing block storage, VMFS,
right,
all that stuff, and deduplication and all of that stuff too. You guys, a lot of what we can consider table stakes or just kind of take for granted in storage nowadays, it really you guys pioneered it. So yeah.
There are some other things from a security standpoint, if you're interested, that I can chat about, not just necessarily about virtualization. I mean, one of the things we're really starting to pay attention to is the whole thing around quantum encryption.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And, we're all waiting for OpenSSL to come out with.
Oh my goodness. Yes. Us too. Yes.
Right. You guys are waiting. We're waiting for that. In the meantime, in our latest version, 9.17, we have, let me see where it is. Yeah. So we've added, IPsec offload. We can do that. Also IPsec for lag. But the big one is post-quantum pre-shared key support for IPsec.
Okay.
So you've generated your post-quantum pre-shared key, and you copy it to your client and server, or your two servers, and then they set up a TLS connection between each other using that. They derive keys from that.
Okay.
The derived keys are quantum safe.
Good. So using some of the new algorithms, or just using longer key lengths, because that's all mitigation too.
Let's see. It's
all technical here, but so
I don't have that handy.
All right.
Yeah.
And so for those of you following along or might be watching or whatever, post-quantum crypto. So there's this guy, Peter Shor. He's a mathematician at MIT, and he came up with an algorithm that basically quantum computers should be able to use Shor's algorithm to break encryption, to basically do instantaneous factoring of numbers. These big hard math problems that current cryptography is based on kind of fall short in the face of quantum computing. And so not really a big threat practically right now. The largest number they've ever factored that we know of, and there's other organizations on Earth that might keep it secret if they make a breakthrough or whatever. But, the largest number they've ever factored is the number 21. and 7 times 3, and they had to cheat to get it to do that, and work backwards. But in the face of this, as we see more and more announcements of it, post-quantum crypto, one of these days somebody's going to make a breakthrough, and then all of our crypto is going to be vulnerable. So instead of waiting until that happens and then freaking out, which generally is what we do as humans, people have been like, hey, we should get ahead of this thing. Because there's also the idea that, people can capture data now and then wait to decrypt it later, and that's a little scary too. And so there's a couple of ways to mitigate this. There's new algorithms that help that are much harder for quantum computers to deal with, as far as factoring them and breaking them. Longer key lengths helps too. That's kind of a stopgap right now. And the NSA is basically has a commercial security suite that the CNSA 2.0 basically called for longer key lengths, longer hash sizes, SHA-384 and things like that. And so a lot of work going on there. But Mike also made a reference to OpenSSL. OpenSSL added these algorithms in it was April or March, April timeframe, because NIST just got done with their selection process for these algorithms in mid-March. And and then on top of that, because all the stuff needs to be FIPS validated, FIPS 140-3, OpenSSL, and then some of the other crypto libraries, Bouncy Castle, for example, on the VMware side, we need to wait for those to be FIPS validated before we can really roll them into the products. And so that's kind of where it all stands right now. So it's good. It's good that to hear that you're worried about this stuff too.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And like VM encryption, VMware VM encryption, which I'm intimately familiar with, uses XTS AES 256 for its encryption. Mm-hmm. We use the same level of encryption as well, because we're using AES-NI at the CPU level to do our encryption and decryption, just like you guys are. That is considered right now quantum resistant, or quantum safe.
Yeah, but it's a low level for that,
Right, but I would foresee at some point in the future, that probably getting updated somehow. And like you said, there's not a whole lot of quantum computers out there, and the ones that are there are owned by Microsoft, Google, and 3-letter agencies.
Yeah.
And when Dell starts selling quantum computers, that's when we all have to start worrying about. When Supermicro, when you can buy one off of AliExpress, that's when you really have to start worrying about it. However, we all recognize that in order to move from where we are today to where we need to be by the time those computers get there, there's a lot of work that has to be done. We have to get all those algorithms out. We have to get them validated and then incorporated into our software development life cycles. And, that you guys and us, we all have the same challenges in order to get that done.
Well, and then, you can't just turn it on. If we're going to talk these new algorithms and these new ciphers to you, you need to be able to receive them and vice versa. And it's not just network stuff. It's not just in transit. You've got code signing. All the code signing algorithms have to change. Secure boot's got to change. So all the hardware vendors have got to update their stuff, and you just alluded to, or made reference to the hardware inside of your environment. It sounds like x86 sorts of CPUs in there. And, and so that needs to get updated. If there's not CPU support for the stuff directly, that might need to change. Yeah, it's
right. That might be a whole new world of hardware upgrades, right?
Yeah.
We don't know yet. So what I would caution people who are listening to the podcast is,
don't freak out.
Should I be concerned about quantum? Absolutely. Just like you should be concerned about any other security thing. But just like Bob and I have been saying for years, don't panic. Companies like Broadcom, VMware, and NetApp are laying the ground capabilities to adopt these new protection methods, but it's going to take some time. So, when your C level gets a bug in their ear that they heard at the golf course with other C levels going, I'm quantum safe. No, you're not. And
Aren't we all?
don't panic, right? We'll get there.
Yeah. I stole a slide from one of our product managers here, and just about the timelines moving forward here. That the quantum resistance 2027. But really the first starts of the beginnings of deprecation 2030, 2031, with 2035 being, and of course, if somebody makes a breakthrough, this will probably change. But the long timelines here tell you kind of where we're at, that we're trying to do this in a controlled fashion and trying to figure it out. And so,
yeah. And, as I mentioned earlier, Google, Microsoft, 3-letter agencies, quantum computing works on qubits. And in order to decrypt some, we'll say AES XTS 256, like, oh, look, I pulled a drive out that was has encrypted data. I'm going to take it home and crack it with my quantum computer.
Yeah.
Not today, you won't, because most of them are, single-digit qubits. And in order to crack that sort of stuff, you need multi-digit qubits. And they haven't quite gotten there yet. So they're trying hard, but so are vendors like us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tony put something out in the. Oh, go ahead, Eric. I'm going to find what Tony just had.
Yeah.
URL.
We'll have we could probably continue security with quantum qubit discussions probably for the rest of the day. And so.
You don't want to do that?
Maybe in 4 more minutes or so, we could wrap this up and talk a little bit about
something.
Or maybe you're dropping out again, Eric.
What the relationship with
Eric.
Broadcom and VC.
Oh yeah.
I would say let's talk about VCF 9 and the Broadcom NetApp relationship. As we've got into offering vSAN, but we also support other storage. Obviously, it's still ESX. You're still running vSphere. You might not pick up the rest of the portfolio. And so I know that you guys have continued to show up. Some of our ecosystem partners have vanished over the last year or so, but you guys have not, because you're selling storage. So maybe we could just talk a little bit about, your storage future with VCF 9. What have you guys been doing? I know we released 9 this year. And so maybe we just talk a little bit about the relationship going forward and what have you guys been doing with 9?
Yeah, I'll take that one. We are continuing to innovate and work with our partners like Broadcom, for example. Within ONTAP itself, we've been talking a lot about security, where there are ways you can do encryption on the wire for data in flight. In ONTAP, we're working with all of our partners to adopt that kind of technology. For example, we worked with VMware for VCF 9 to be able to support encrypted NFS. So now with VCF 9, you can have NFS encrypted on the wire. And we had done that to meet some U.S. public sector requirements to allow us to operate in high secure situations, we'll call it, right? So that is something that, just one example of how we're continuing to innovate with VCF 9. Now, everything that NetApp builds in our operating system, in our add-on products and cloud-based products are built to be automated. And the way VCF orchestrates things through VCF Operations Orchestrator makes it very easy to automate anything that can operate on standard REST APIs, which ONTAP does. So you can build pretty much anything, any kind of workflow you can imagine, you can build and implement in VCF and take advantage of everything ONTAP has to offer. So it's incredibly powerful, and we're continuing to iterate on that. We have some new things that we've been rolling out, supporting some new backup and recovery stuff on VCF 9, some new integration components with VCF 9 to help you manage things like stretched storage, right? We've been talking about security at, cybersecurity, but you also have to think about physical security. You may have a data center that may be at risk for either a natural disaster or a man-made disaster. And you need to think about, is that secure? Do I have disaster recovery in place? Am I using array-based replication with live site recovery, right? That's something that you can do, and we're continuing to iterate and develop new innovations there with live site recovery. And then stretch storage with our just recently released NVMe over Fabrics symmetric active stretched storage. So you have the same data store accessible in two different sites, right? Accessible symmetrically across a vSphere stretched cluster. So those are the kind of things that we're doing to continue to improve that security posture, both again in cyber as well as in physical land.
That's pretty wild. Is that still?
And that's all support.
Yeah, is that the Metro cluster? I seem to recall it being called Metro cluster or something like that at one point. Maybe I'm thinking of something else.
Yeah, so NetApp, right, yeah, sorry, didn't mean to talk over you. So yeah, we still have our traditional Metro cluster systems, which are kind of an active standby, symmetric, what am I trying to say? Active standby, synchronously replicated system, right? So that's
but this is something
our zero RPM. Yeah. So with NetApp Metro cluster, it replicates the entire cluster. And so what we've started to do now is get granular and allow you to have synchronously replicated individual data stores. So you can get down to that level. Before vVols was deprecated, we were looking at doing that kind of thing with vVols as well to get down to like individual VMDK level granularity. But we're moving on from that and innovating in other ways now. Like again, for example, VMFS over NVMe, synchronized synchronously across data centers.
Nice. Yeah, that's pretty cool. We've got a test. I want to shout out to Christian here. Got some testimonies to your NetApp capability or your ransomware detection and response capabilities coming in here. Christian's been doing. He's been pretty active. He's been showing off security stuff at some of the VMUGs in Europe, and I appreciate that greatly. But so I just thought I'd share that with. Happened to check my Twitter. X, nice. Whatever we want to call it. But,
yeah, awesome comment. I love it.
Availability is really important, though. You're absolutely right. And people think of security as confidentiality, but turns out it's the CIA thing. And, there's that I for integrity. There's that A for availability. What's the point of even having this stuff if it's not up when you need it, if your data is not there? And so that's really important.
Yeah, I mean,
do you guys get in?
Oh yeah, I was just going to mention. I mean, we have systems flying around in aircraft, in other types of vehicles, in dangerous places, and they're replicating data back. And there was an article that was posted in, I forget what publication it was, but it was a deep dive into the Royal Air Force P-3 sub-hunting aircraft and how they fill up their onboard storage. They collect so much data dropping these sonar buoys. When they get back, they have to dump all the data and start over. It's amazing how much data is being collected out there. But all that stuff has to be protected.
Yeah, gotta be right.
And I have actually visited when I was at VMware. Actually visited General Dynamics in Massachusetts, where they build out NetApp arrays and Knox and all sorts of other stuff on the back of Army trucks.
Yep.
And pretty cool.
Physical security, no problem.
We actually discussed, and I had an idea at the time of leveraging the TPM to store encrypted VM keys and painting a red dot on the case over the TPM, so that if the forward operating base was being overrun, you'd power everything off, take a 9mm and through, destroy the TPM, and you're good to go.
Interestingly enough, this is not the first time this came up today. And it's kind of an odd day in that regard. How to destroy a TPM and destroy your secrets in short order, in under duress. Yes.
Well,
Anyway,
in your case, you just forget them somewhere.
yeah, just leave them sitting in my desk or something like that. Hang on, I'm going to shut my blinds.
Yeah. So getting back to VCF 9, and I know all of our customers haven't migrated. I think probably only a third of our customers have actually, got to 9. Do you guys help in your practice when people are looking to make that journey? Do you have a practice that helps them get there as well with regard to storage?
Oh, sure. Yeah. I mean, we have our field consultants, our SEs, our field architects. We've got an army of people out there helping customers every day plan their migrations and upgrades. And, with VCF 9 supporting Fiber Channel and NFS for principal storage, you can now, you don't have to do the old, like back in VCF 5.1, 5.2.1, I should say, the only way to use external storage, standing up a new domain, new management domain, was to like deploy it and then do the brownfield import. With VCF 9, it's great. You don't have to do that anymore. You just, when you run VCF installer, you just say, I want, this fiber channel storage or that NFS storage for my principal storage, and boom, it deploys greenfield right on it, and then you get to continue to take advantage of all the day 2 operations that VCF can help you derive value from without having to worry about now I did an import, so now I can't use some of the automation because that's restricted if you didn't import. So yeah, I mean VCF 9 I love it. It's such a huge improvement over the legacy versions.
Yeah, it's become a lot more flexible in that regard, and it's going to get better too. As we move forward here, starting to look at a lot of that, and I'm very excited about the path forward. So, but yeah, storage flexibility. Turns out vSAN's not the answer all the time. Don't fire me, Broadcom. But it's there's a lot of good reasons to have external storage, especially too if you've just got physical. You still have a SAN. A lot of organizations still have physical things, still have things that aren't x86. So
yeah, and there's a number of security tools within VMware that work with our storage. Like one built right in, it's multi-admin verification, right? So you can make a request, Bob, to say delete a volume.
Mm-hmm.
That request is going to go to ONTAP. ONTAP is then going to send it to Chance and I as the admins, and one of us will approve that. And then you will be able to then delete the volume. So you have that 2 men in a missile silo sort of thing going on.
Yeah.
And that's built right into the array.
Oh, that's really interesting. I'm glad you mentioned that, because that's not something that we have in the vSphere VCF world, really. But the idea that because these attackers, what do? After they've compromised an identity system or whatever and broken in, they make a beeline for vSphere. They make a beeline for hypervisors, and so they're going to come in as a rogue admin. They're going to log in with credentials, and then they're going to try to screw with everything. And so
there's no real way to intercept that.
Not at the VMware level, yeah, but you can inject some workflow there, and that's really cool, actually. So
yeah, it is pretty neat. It is pretty neat.
Cool.
Yeah, I think to pop it up a little bit, I would say that 2026 really is focusing on consolidated everything into VCF. But I think there was a misinterpretation on you have to use all components of VCF to be, where we want you to go. And I think now we're actually starting to promote, look, we consolidate our product line so that it's easier to purchase and you buy and you get it. But that doesn't mean we don't support other vendors and other storage vendors. And I think the message for 2026 is that we do have great partners that plug into VCF and offer great value. And we did not mean to say that you had to just use everything that we have, that we actually just consolidate our products so that it's easier to buy one purchase and then go implement how you want to implement. And NetApp has always been there for us. And I think that's the message for 2026.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not a one or the other, right? It can be both. You can, I mean, there's many use cases where they're complementary to each other.
Yeah, that's a really good point too. People forget about that you can mix and match. There's all that flexibility. You can have NFS, iSCSI, Fiber Channel, and vSAN all in one. I mean, I would have some questions perhaps, but
But like we talked about before, there's certain workloads that are going to work great on this and maybe not as great on that. And there's maybe you are, as a customer, you're invested in certain things from company A that, while it works with VCF, and VCF might have some alternative way of doing that, you have a lot of legacy that you just can't rip and replace overnight,
or don't want to,
or don't want to, because it might be costly, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like your comment on Twitter about sudo being rewritten in Rust.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
Why? I mean, is it just because someone wanted to learn Rust, and it comes out that version of sudo is full of junk?
Yeah. Yeah, it turns out you can write security vulnerabilities in Rust just like you could in C.
Yeah.
So, except Rust takes care of the memory safety. Yay.
Just because it's the latest new toy doesn't necessarily mean you have to jump on it. You always want to look at that and go, what workload will work best on that with my environment?
Yeah. No, that's a really good point.
Yeah.
Well, I know we've been live streaming for 50 minutes now, and it's coming up to the top of the hour, so I want to be respectful to your calendars and what you might have to do at the end of the lunchtime. It's been great to have you here in California for our lunch podcast. So let's switch gears and say, like, anything that excites.
It's always happens right at the right time.
It detects when Eric is excited. Eric, can you repeat what you were saying there? You dropped out a little bit.
Eric,
anything exciting for 2026?
Yeah, what are you looking forward to?
You'll see more updates to ONTAP where we're incorporating more security controls, more integrations with other things. Just like with vSphere, Federation is a big thing now. Thank God. Federation is becoming a big thing for us as well, and you'll see more around that.
Great. Chance, anything for you?
Yeah, no, I mean, when we look at, our roadmap internally, there's actually a lot of things coming down the pipe that are real optimizations for VMware. So you're going to see some really interesting things come out this year. And in some of the stuff we're working in partnership with VMware engineering. So quite a few things coming that I'm pretty excited. Unfortunately, I can't talk about, but it's going to be a cool year. What am I excited for 2026? And what are the odds on GTA 6?
What is it? Mid-November of next year now. So that smells like January of 2027 to me.
Did I hear? What is that? GTA 6?
GTA 6. Yeah, it slipped to November of next year. So
all right.
I know my son works for a video game company, but I have no idea what games he's working on because he's all under NDA.
That's what I was looking for. I'm looking forward to Tesla's robot showing up. I want to buy one for 150 grand so someone can mow my grass or something. Like, I want some AI with robots or something fun.
My AI grass mowing operation is going to be my daughter, I think. Yes. So.
Yeah, there you go. All right. Finally, we're going to close out. I'll say this quick barbecue report. Any kind of barbecue you like to do or like to eat in your region?
There's only one, Carolina barbecue.
Good choice. How about
Eastern, Western, or South Carolina barbecue?
If you could pick anything, both, yeah.
Gold,
yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, the mustard-based sauce. Yeah, that's good stuff.
I'm from Southern California, so a rub from Central California. We don't count barbecue if you're putting sauces on things. It has to be meat with a rub.
I will say that 26 and a half years ago when I got married, we had a rockabilly band and we had the wedding catered by a local barbecue place.
Nice.
Well,
Barbecue.
thanks a lot for coming on the show and being with us over lunchtime. Go get some barbecue and enjoy the rest of your week. Thank you very
All righty.
much.
Thanks.
You guys.
Opportunity.